Hi, today I want to talk about Checksum and how you can use it in Lucee. Many download sites provide a checksum along the download. That checksum then can be used to validate the downloaded file to avoid corrupted files. There are two ways to do that. First, you can manually check the download. After you have downloaded the file, the website provides you with MD5 hash in that example, and then you can do an MD5 hash of the file locally and see if it's that equal. In case you download the file in your application, you can automatically check the checksum if the download provides the checksum as part of the response header. In that case, I'm downloading a jar file with help of the tag cf_http. Then I simply output the response header. As you can see, in the response header we have two headers. One is checksum MD5 and one is checksum SHA-1. So we get the MD5 hash and the SHA-1 hash from the file itself. What we now can do with help of the function file info, we get also MD5 checksum. When I execute that, you see now part of the file info we have checksum and we have here a MD5 hash. You see it's exactly the same as here. A checksum is nothing else than a hash from the binary file itself. So what we also can do instead of file info, we simply do we first read in the file binary, then we make a hash and we define that the hash type is MD5 or SHA-1. So when we execute that, you see we now get the two hashes, and they are also the same as here. The only difference is that the letters here are uppercase and here are lowercase, but that's a hex number, so the case doesn't matter. So now that we have a hash defined locally and we get it from the response header, so what it should be and what it is, we can validate. With that code, I validate the checksum. I first check if there is a response header x checksum MD5, and if there is one, I get with file info, I get the checksum and I check if they are the same. If they are the same, I simply make a dump. We have a match. If they don't, I delete the file and I output a message that it's not okay. So when we execute that, you see we have a match because the local checksum and the checksum delivered by the download are the same. Problem is that not all downloads provide a checksum, and if they provide, we can do that check. If they don't, we can't. For our own downloads, of course, we can provide a checksum so that we have with our download pages, we always have a checksum, and also other applications can check if the download was successfully, or we download from one server of our server to another server, we can also check in that case. I simply do that. In that case, I provide the same jar and I add a header content MD5, and you see we have, in that case I use a different header. In that case we have x checksum MD5, and in that case I just use content MD5. This header of course is not required, so maybe that one is provided, maybe the other one, you can't really know. And then we provide the file itself. When I now download that file, I check for that header, but I have here defined multiple headers that are possible. So there are possible MD5 headers and SHA-1 headers. And also in many cases the header e tag also has the MD5 hash, but that's not necessary. So you can have an e tag that is not MD5 hash, so you can't really be sure that is MD5 hash, but maybe, for example, GitHub always has the MD5 hash in e tag for all its downloads. So you can be sure with that server. And now instead of hard coding a single header, I simply check the response header for all possible headers I know. You can extend that list, of course, and you find out others. So I check if a single one is existing, and if so, I store all that information in checksum. So it simply loops response header and checks for all possible headers. When we output that, you see it has found content MD5, the type is MD5 of course, and the checksum itself. Of course, that's correct, because we had here content definer content and MD5, and then it has found it. Based on that, we now validate again, the same way as we did before. Of course, now with the information we get from that struct. You see, it's working as expected. I hope this video was helpful to you. Have a good one.